Hey guys, this is Jay Calden from JAYONBOXING here giving you a personal prediction for Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. And as always, this is just my take, of course. Your prediction can be left down in the comments section below. Would love to hear them all. And a little bit of fight info here. As mentioned, we have former world titleist Anthony Joshua taking on MMA champion Francis Ngannou in a crossover bout. This will be at the Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, airing live on DAZN pay-per-view in the heavyweight division with no titles on the line. Also, just so you're all aware, I will be dropping picks for the undercard as well in a separate video, so definitely check that out. And I will be doing an AJ versus Ngannou fight preview. Would love if any of you had any kind of questions or comments on that fight, leave them down in the comments below and I'll try to get to them in that preview. Would greatly appreciate that as well. So, this is a very interesting fight to me. Ironically, this was the more interesting fight to me for Francis Ngannou stepping into the boxing world than the Fury fight was before the Fury fight happened. That fight just seemed too predictable, where Fury seemed a lock to box his way to a win. Silly thought in hindsight. As opposed to the AJ fight where it seemed to have more unpredictability. Now, this fight really seems hard to predict. Two tanks going out and who can punch a bit and really are looking to kind of make a statement here for differing reasons. AJ wants to one-up Fury, of course, and Ngannou wants to get that big win in boxing. It definitely would help his profile. At the same time, they're both vulnerable. With AJ, he's been hurt, he's been dropped. It's not as if that can't happen again with Ngannou. And Ngannou himself has still, a pretty inexperienced pro boxer and hasn't tasted real solid heavyweight boxing power, which he himself admits feels different with someone even like Fury who isn't known as a massive puncher. So the power definitely makes a difference. The question becomes, who makes that power come more into play? Who can dish it out a bit better and take it a bit more? That's ultimately what I think will settle this fight. So let's get into it. Let's break this fight down and find out. Starting with Joshua. For Joshua to win, you want to throw the right over the top. Ngannou kind of prods with his shots sometimes, and he puts that lead hand out there a little bit too slowly. And at times, he's trying to set a trap, but it can also be used against him. When you're circling away or resetting, simply jab over top and avoid any oncoming shots. You can do this by keeping that shot straight and to the point. However, also throw that right hand as a lead over the top of that jab and catch him clean. It's a shot he can be tagged with. He's been tagged with it before. When that jab of his comes out, his defensive hand can also kind of cock back a little bit in kind of preparation for trying to throw it, and sometimes too far, and leaves himself open for a left hook. However, you will only want to throw that when you're inside that kind of damage range where he's not necessarily going to be able to get you at the end of his shots, and your faster, maybe more nuanced boxing blows can get to him before he can get to you. But that can definitely start with the right hand over the top, either set up with the jab or thrown as a lead, and I think you'll have success with it. I would also argue don't get backed up. Ngannou is trying to come straight forward. He also has a bit more reach than you by an inch or two, nothing crazy, but it's there. Straight lines back make it too easy to land that power for him. You have to circle out or duck under when getting away from his attacks. Ngannou can be slow-footed, so you have a better chance catching him in this kind of process anyway if you're turning him and catching him out of position. You're not the fastest-footed fighter either, but you certainly have a bit, I would assume, more natural movement in a boxing ring than he does at this point. Regardless, you don't want to be backing up too much anyway. You're the boxer that also has explosive power. You should be stepping into it, landing those big right hands and pushing him back. That reverse motion takes his power out a little bit, his legs and his kind of wins him a little bit faster because he's using those reverse muscles he's not accustomed to using because he hardly backs up. But if you make him do so by being a big strong dude yourself and landing some powerful blows, it can certainly begin to tax him and pay off for you in the end. And I would also argue keep your shots tight. You're the natural boxer. You should have more technique to your work. That means throwing in between those lines, getting there quicker when maybe some of Ngannou's shots might have a bit more loop or a bit more cocked back components to them when he throws them. That natural fluidity to your work and the shorter shot lines should allow you to score. This doesn't mean be tight as in nervous and pent up, but be tight as in quick and to the point, A to B, no detours in between. Ngannou will want to catch you, especially during an exchange where he feels he may land that fight-ending shot. You have to stay composed and disciplined in those moments and land the more direct blows. Don't load up, don't cock back, just get your shots home quickly and in direct fashion, and you can get to him before he gets to you and probably cause some damage. Now, switching over to Ngannou, for Ngannou to win, you want to land something early. Obviously, that's a good thing for any fighter. You want to set the tempo, get an idea of what they can kind of take, see if you can gauge a response from them and just how easy it is to hit them. Obviously, maybe you might even hurt them early, but it's especially important for Ngannou. Yes, he did well against Tyson Fury, but was it because Fury underestimated him or had a bad night? Or is it because Ngannou is better than people think? You want to answer that question early. Get into the head of AJ that he might have some more trouble at his door in those early stages, and you can do that by landing something early. Obviously, that can mean that right hand, but it can also just mean stiff, powerful jabs. You just want to get home early. Joshua can get into his own head a bit at times. Some have even suggested he kind of unravels in tough moments. True or not doesn't matter. You just want to check that temperature early and land something meaningful. The sooner you know this, the sooner you can carry out a game plan that can kind of work around what he's giving you. And I would also argue be willing to engage. And part of that game plan, I believe, will include you needing to be aggressive and taking a few chances. Again, as I always say, taking chances doesn't mean throwing caution to the wind and being reckless, but it does mean taking calculated risks when it suits you, when it benefits you, and that might be exchanges for Ngannou. Ngannou is in a weird spot. He's such a puncher, he can land a fight ender immediately. That makes fighters timid about coming in and fighting. And he's skilled enough that he can sit back and pressure you a bit when that happens because you're staying shelled up and he kind of looks more in control of the action. That can work, especially if Ngannou lands something Joshua has to respect early, as mentioned. Maybe he tightens up himself. Still, to get to that point, Ngannou has to be willing to trade some shots here and there that might give him his best openings. Then, going forward, he can pick his spots a bit more and potentially get Joshua out of there later when he steps into more of those bigger blows. And finally, the left hand will be key. One spot to pick, I think, is going to involve that left hand, which I think is going to be important for Ngannou. He has a small bit of a reach advantage, and if he can use that and get decent jabs going, I think that's going to be all the better. It scores, of course, but it also sets up a lot of the important work that he's looking to land. For starters, it helps in pushing Joshua back in more of a straight line. That's important for landing that right hand, and obviously that's a shot that Ngannou's looking for, because it certainly can get AJ in trouble if it lands clean. And that jab can also be thrown to the body as he did against Fury and as he has done before, where it just kind of drops the guard a bit more and just allows Ngannou to score and get into a rhythm. But also the left hook, the same one that dropped Fury, can be implemented here. It lines up the right hand as well, but also can be landed higher up on the head. Joshua has been affected by temple shots, and if it lands with your power, it has a good chance of replicating that. And of course, the left hand will be important for that as well. Whether jabbing or going up or downstairs and hooking, the left hand will be vital in setting everything up for Ngannou, including that right hand that could end matters. And in terms of my pick here, well, as with every heavyweight fight prediction anyone ever makes, I have to say it as well. Any punch can end things here quickly, so you just never know. That said, I think the better technique and experience in the ring for Anthony Joshua will give him the victory. I think Joshua knows he has to go out there and land something meaningful to make Ngannou know he can't just come out full guns a-blazing. I think the right hand and some quick combination does that. I also think AJ uses faster feet to get Ngannou out of position and allow him to land some more of those kind of telling blows. AJ isn't super fast-footed as mentioned, but I think he gets in and out a bit better than Ngannou will be able to handle with, and that can work in this fight. AJ lands the right hand over the top of more jabs consistently as the rounds progress and drops Ngannou in the middle frames. I think Ngannou gets up, but is dropped again during the following exchange, and the bout is waved off. Winner, Anthony Joshua via mid-fight stoppage. And in terms of the betting odds here, we have Joshua as a pretty sizable favorite, coming in at a minus 485 with Ngannou at a plus 320. I think those are pretty decent odds either way you want to look at it. For Joshua, I think it's kind of fair. He's a 5-1 favorite for the most part. He probably should be. Ngannou, you're getting 3-1 odds, basically. Pretty decent, all things considered. Again, you would almost hope for, if you're an Ngannou follower, wider odds, but for the most part, those actually make sense considering he didn't completely embarrass himself by any means against Fury. If I were taking a line, it would be the Ngannou one, but personally, I think Joshua gets it done here, so that wouldn't be one that I would necessarily be interested in. What I'm much more interested in is the over-under, which is at a 6.5, with the over coming in at even and the under at minus 130. I think no matter who wins this fight, it probably ends relatively early to those middle frames. So to me, the under makes a lot of sense and probably something that I would look at. Just envisioning this fight, it definitely seems like it ends early, almost no matter who wins. So certainly what I would look at there, but in any event, those are your odds. And my prediction record as of this recording is 14-3 with 8 exact, but let me know your thoughts, your bets, your picks, all that good stuff down in the comments, of course. And please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow. Of course, check out all the social media here. And be sure to visit JAYONBOXING.com for schedule, results, betting odds, grades, rankings, all that good stuff. And as always, until next time.